Hello everyone! Welcome to Reddit Reactions, where real humans read and react to Reddit content. Today's question is, Dads of Reddit, what is your advice for new dads? And I picked this question because my dad died when I was 12. So I want to read about what it's like to have a dad and stuff, and be a dad and this kind of thing, you know? This is a question by Gigawatt. First, reply by only half Korean. Do not have it dead silent in your home when your child is asleep. Do your normal routine or noise level, or you end up with a child who is easily woken up by a mouse fart. That's actually pretty funny because I sleep like really hard. I'm hard to wake up. I can sleep through a lot if I'm really actually sleepy. And my dad used to have like these events he was a teacher at a university that was right in front of the school. So students would come over for like tutoring and parties and stuff at the house, right? And I would just sleep through it all. But my dad he wasn't like the person who's going to be like, oh no, don't, shh, quiet, the child is sleeping. He'd be like, yeah, the child can sleep when the child gets a moment to sleep. He's fine. Like, I ran the vacuum cleaner under my kid's rocker while he slept when we first brought him home. He'll sleep through a mortar fire now. Whoa, this is an epic reply about fatherhood by Matt BK 104. Don't worry if the kid doesn't respond to you for the first few weeks or months. It usually takes longer than bonding with the mother. It will happen though, I promise. Just like previously posted, everything is a phase and it will pass. Goes for the good and the bad. Enjoy these late nights because somehow soon you will wish they did call for you and you could come to the rescue. My wife has to remind me all the time that they're babies and they don't know any better. Remember this when you inevitably get frustrated with them. It's not personal. Figure out something that you and only you do to help out. Mine was bath time. I gave my daughter every bath shower except maybe 3 until she was 2 years old. Always did morning bottle feeds. I liked being the first thing she sees in the morning. When buying things, function is greater than form. Take lots of videos and pictures. You can never have too many and you can't get them back if you don't. Try not to get your kid out to be handled in public unless necessary before 3 months. If they get sick, you might not be happy about that. They have to do spinal taps and it's hard to watch. Ask questions. Who cares if he feels dumb for asking? We've all done it and it's better to be safe than sorry. Oh, that's sweet. A reply to that, my wife has to remind me all of the time. They are babies and they don't know better. Remember this when you inevitably get frustrated. Right. You've never been a dad before. Mom has never been a mom before. And the baby, not only are they a baby, but they've never been a baby before. You're all learning. That's a good joke. I like that one. Yeah, I guess it depends how many kids you have too. Because that's the whole thing. Like, are you having multiple kids? Do you have brothers? Is it lonely? Are you better off like having more resources? You know, I was an only child. And I was lonely. And for a long time that sucked. But a lot of that kind of crap motivated me to find a better life. And I did. So I'm glad all the bad shit happened to me. Like, hell yeah. You have to start somewhere, right? And even if you start in trauma, it's a beginning. Ha. This reply to the statement, do not take your kid out in public unless necessary before 3 months. I'm surprised at this one. Our pediatrician told us it's fine to take her out in public, just to keep her away from anyone that has been sick. That's like that whole debate. At what point do you start... What point do you start letting your kid go out in the world, right? Well, I can tell you there is a photo of me as like a little baby with diapers where I was a fat little shit, fat motherfucker, a big baby, and I was playing with these baby kittens in a puddle of mud. So And then I understand now how unsanitary that is. But it worked out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I got lucky. It's supposedly you're not supposed to do it because their immune system can't handle the world yet. Breastfeeding helps kickstart their immune system. Breast milk includes antibodies from the mom. It's not a silver bullet, but it makes a dramatic difference. Yeah, protect your newborns from the grubby pulls of strange old ladies. I've had to body block some grannies in public. Damn. Also, get your kid vaccinated. Anyone who says otherwise is maliciously full of shit. Well, I mean, people shouldn't be so dismissive of the vaccine no-goers. That's the problem. Like, there's people who don't agree with something. And then there's people who hate those people for not agreeing. But they're essentially doing the same opinion mongering bullcrap and not being understanding and not trying to, like, if you look at the history of vaccines, like, yes, nowadays vaccines are a great, wonderful thing that do stop us from getting sick, and it's amazing, and we can help other people not get sick because we didn't get them sick because we got a vaccine, so they never got sick and died in the first place, which is great, right? But historically, there's a lot of reason to really mistrust vaccines. Like, throughout the human history, there are many times where, in the interest of profit, bad or poisonous vaccines were distributed, and that hurt people, and it is probably one of the reasons there is so much resentment towards vaccines. I'm not saying that, like, nowadays any of that is relevant, like, not suggesting that, but you just need to understand there's always sides to both. You should try and understand both sides. And if you can't think of multiple arguments and you can't think of the emotions behind each argument that people have, then you don't really understand something. If you just understand one argument, like your argument, you don't understand. You need to know multiple different opinions from people who are involved in the same thing in order to actually kind of understand it, really. And if you're not exposing yourself to that contrast, that conflict, it's like saying, like, oh, if you just know some Democrats, you know what Americans in the United States are like. And it's like, no, that's not true. And if you say, oh, if you just know a Republican family, then you know what Americans in the United States are like. And it's like, no, that's not true. It's not that simple. You know? Keep that stuff in mind, right? Okay, this is by No Nova. Hungry, tired, nappy, want to suck on something, bored, scared. These are your options, and it's probably one of them. Ah, that's what the baby's feeling. The final thing to try when all above fails is strip the kid naked and start from scratch. You'd be surprised how often something on their clothes is causing some kind of random discomfort that they're reacting to. You like have one of those nappy pins and it's like not open. It's like sticking out their butt or something. I feel like that'd make a baby cry. The final thing to try when all... Oh yeah, I already read that. My dad says this, and try them in the order of pleasantness for you. Stick your finger in their mouth and see if they want to suck on something. Pick them up so they're less scared or bored, also pretty easy. Seeing if they need a new diaper, slightly more effort. Same with feeding them. Getting them to sleep will either happen naturally while you try other stuff, or be a long and difficult process, so may as well try it last. When I've like babysat babies before for days at a time, and there was this one kid. He was really little, like you could easily hold him in one hand. You know, I don't know how old that is in a human. I can tell you how old that is in a cat, but not a human. Couldn't speak or anything, just made noises. More diapers, you know, babies. But he would be crying, and if I held him facing towards me, like towards my chest, he didn't really like that as much. But if I like held him so I was holding him, but he was looking in front of me, like looking at the same thing I was looking at, and I was looking like outside at the trees and stuff, then he would like calm down and shut the fuck up. But if it was just like a really boring environment right in front of him, like an empty room or a wall or something, then he wasn't as interested in that, I guess. I don't know. I just, like, sometimes he'd be crying and I'd try and rock him and pick him up and I couldn't figure out how to get him to shut up or comfort him, right? But by just like holding him and showing him the outdoors and the green and like rocking him. That would almost always do it. I don't know if that was just a luck thing, but he seemed to react to the amount of objects in front of him. And sometimes, like, if he was bored, he would get, he's discomfortable, or maybe something's bothering him in his stomach or whatever. But if he has some interesting things going on in front of him, he's not thinking about that. He's easily distracted by the environment. But it can't be like too overwhelming, and nature has that like calming effect. And so in this case, it was like a balcony, and I would just stand out there, and there were a bunch of trees, and like you could hear some birds and like squirrels and that kind of thing. Maybe some dogs barking or something occasionally. You forgot hot versus cold. We had a baby back in March. We spent a lot of time and money keeping it warm. Now it's been 90 plus degrees, and it's the opposite. We're spending a lot of time keeping it cool. Ooh, this is a good one. Don't shake the baby. But it is okay to want to shake the baby. They can be very irritating. Just don't do it. Put them down somewhere safe like a crib and walk away for a minute. But just know we all want to shake a kid at some point. Having that feeling doesn't make you a bad dad. I just got back from deployment, and I tried to take care of the kids while my wife took a shower and relaxed. Both of them were crying just because they're kids, Wife walked into the living room, and I was just crying while holding the kids so they wouldn't run amok. Your comment is super important to me because I easily get frustrated. You gotta walk away sometimes. I tell this to all the new parents I know. One day you'll be exhausted and the baby will be crying and nothing you do is helping at all, and the thought will cross your mind. You feel like the worst parent in the world for thinking it. But it's normal. You didn't do it. It's natural. And it's gone as quickly as it popped into your mind. You are not a bad parent for having a split-second weakness. You're just tired and your baby is brand new to this world and has no idea what's going on. If you need a break and can't handle it, make sure your baby is completely safe and step out for a minute and breathe. You gotta take care of yourself to better take care of them. Oh, that's gold. That's so not just for babies, but for like anybody. If you can take care of other people best if you're able to take care of yourself. For me personally, I'm more motivated by other people, and that's like, basically, I do more for people I care deeply about than I do for myself. I'm learning to do more for myself, but the grandest and most intense and most, like, admirable things I've done have usually been for other people. So I've learned how to leverage that into, like, okay, how do I develop myself as much as I can so that I can help other people as much as possible? And I tell myself that a lot, right? But ultimately, like, you aren't able to aid others unless you're able to drastically aid yourself. That's always true. Whether you care more about aiding yourself or others in the long run, it doesn't really matter because you need a balance of it. You can't do one and not the other, basically. Put them down somewhere safe. Or yeah, we're back to babies. Put them down somewhere safe, like a crib, and walk away. To add on this, do this even if the baby seems to get even more upset by it. If a baby is crying that hard, for that long, it has you at the breaking point. Nothing you're going to do in the next 30 seconds is going to resolve it. Babies cry, and it's kind of their thing. So put them down. Let them get pissed and cry harder. Leave the room. They're still crying, and that's totally fine. Give yourself a couple minutes to breathe. Maybe you'll luck out and the baby will tire itself out and go to sleep on its own. But don't think of it as a failure. Our nurse explained it to me. You will make a lot of mistakes. They will get bumps and bruises. They will get diaper rashes, sunburns. You will forget to feed them on time. You will forget to give them something to drink. You will make so many mistakes. It's okay. But there is one mistake you simply cannot make. You cannot lose control of your temper and shake the baby. Not once. Literally. 0 times. Walk away. Cool off. Come back. The baby will still be there. Angry, perhaps, but unshaken. And that makes all the difference. If you haven't heard about that, there's a syndrome that can happen and they can die. It's called like shaken baby syndrome or something. And I don't know how it kills them, but it's like a real thing. This is always my response to these types of questions. The amount of rage I experienced was scary to me. I didn't know I had it in me. Luckily, my mom gave me this advice, and I knew to just put the baby down in the crib and go get a glass of water. The baby was crying, but it was not in danger. I gathered myself and went back in. My mom says that all the time. She came home one day to find my dad in the living room all upset, and I was in my pumpkin seat in my crib sleeping. I'd been wailing, and Dad couldn't take it anymore. He made sure I was safely strapped in and walked away. It turned out I had an ear infection, but Dad says it's one of the hardest parenting moments he ever had. But if you find yourself feeling this, even when the baby isn't crying, start weighing up your options. Talk to your partner, although it may be difficult to portray that it's gone beyond normal irritation and tiredness. Streamline your schedule, consider working part-time, or cutting back unnecessary chores. Get and utilize a support network. Speak to your doctor. Take a long walk in the park. A lot of postnatal partum depression goes unnoticed because people write it off as normal stress or don't want an additional burden. Baby and family do better with happy, well-balanced parents. Taking care of yourself is taking care of the baby. Oh God. All this is making me realize that comment earlier about how you need to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of something else. I don't know if there's anything that's any more true for it than a child. The reality with the world is most people have children that they're not ready for and they weren't prepared enough for. I guess I'm pretty biased though. Because from my perspective, you shouldn't have kids unless you don't have a job. Like parents can work, I think, and still have enough time with their kids, but like so many children would be better off if their parents just got divorced, worked part-time, and spent more time alone with their children. Like, so many kids would be better off, because what F's children up isn't like the events happening in life. Life is always going to shit on kids. It's going to shit on childhoods. That's something that happens. But what really, really cements that as a problem is when parents fail to spend time with their children. There's nothing more meaningful that you can do with your child than spend quality time with the child. And so that's why having a child is such a huge responsibility, because not only do you need to be able to financially afford the child, but you need to be able to time for the child. And that's the thing that I barely know anybody who did that. Barely anybody. Almost every person I know was born to parents who either had money but no time, or had time but no money, right? And it's better to have time and no money. Like, you're gonna have a more meaningful relationship with your parents or with your children, as long as you're positive influences on each other. If you spent more time together but didn't have as much money, you're gonna have a stronger relationship than somebody who's spent more money but hasn't spent as much time. It really is all about time. That's the most important part. No matter what country you live in, no matter what situation you're in, you got to be able to afford the time to spend with your children and the money to support them. Not just the money. And it's so sad seeing how many parents in the US especially, they both work all the time, and then the kid is raised by other people. And it's just like, what's the point of having such a great job that you can't even spend time with your own child? You really want to live a life where you spend more time with your coworkers than your kid? Seems absurd, right? All right, here's the last reply. Moms get that urge too sometimes to shake the baby, I guess. Possibly more as we're hormonal enough normally, let alone when we recently had a baby. Just look in their eyes and the urge will likely go away. If not, definitely do as above. Put them somewhere safe and go in another room for 5 minutes and chill. I'd wish I'd just done that with my son rather than sitting there hating myself for wanting to shake him. 5 minutes of crying won't hurt them. Yeah, so I guess the big takeaway from this reading, right, is that at some point you're going to want to shake your kid because it's crying and you can't figure out why, and you should leave it alone for a minute or two and calm down. And not hate yourself for wanting to shake your baby. Apparently that's a thing. So good luck, new dad. Ha ha ha. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you want to make videos like this where you read and react to content in front of you and add your own voice and make it your own, and run a YouTube channel that way, we want to have a Zoom call with you. Please go to our YouTube channel, click on the About section, then the Business Inquiries part, do the CAPTCHA code, get our email address, and say hello. We want to have a Zoom call with you. We're developing software to browse content online and react to it while you're recording your screen to make content that way. This is something that's easier for new people to do. If you've always wanted to get into a YouTube channel, but you don't feel confident enough or whatever, you've got some bullshit thing you're telling yourself about why you can't run a YouTube, blah, 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 whatever. Sometimes you just need to make content. And the best thing for you is to just make a lot of content in whatever way you can. And so we're trying to develop an assistant for that process. All right? So if that sounds interesting, say hello. Find our email address. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.